Okay, hello people. I'm back with another YouTube tutorial, and this time it's going to be a pickup system, and we are going to extend the interaction system that we've made in the last video. If you haven't watched that video yet, take a look at that first. So let's get started with the pickup system. And the way we are gonna program the pickup system is we are going to add the functionality for overlap interaction as well. We won't be adding that functionality to the interaction component, but we will be keeping that overlap interaction functionality exclusive to the pickups, because I don't think so we need any we should be able to interact with anything with other stuff with overlap volumes, not for this specific case, because that's how I like to program my pickups in the games. So let's start with some basic stuff, that is creating the pickup data and everything. So let's go to the underscore main folder. I'll add a data folder here. Let's add a structure. So let's call it f pickup data. Let's open that up. Now let's think for a minute that what data we exactly need. So I think it should be a name first of all. We can make this a name. Then we need a description or something. I'll call this info, and I'll make this a string. Then actually, so the way we are going to implement this is that if I place one of the items in the world, and I should be able to select a data table row from the details panel, and if I change the data table row, the mesh should be changed automatically based on the row selected. So and the mesh can be either a static mesh or a skeletal mesh. So I'm gonna add another variable. I'm gonna call this b use skeletal mesh. Now if this is set to true, then we are going to use a skeletal mesh reference that I'm going to put here, otherwise the static mesh reference. So let's make this a boolean. Now let's add the mesh references. So I'll add static mesh. Now let's search for static mesh. Now I'm adding a static mesh object reference, not a static mesh actor or a static mesh component. Just make sure you use static mesh object reference. And same for the skeletal mesh. Skeletal mesh. Now we have that, and then we need interact time as well, the time it takes to interact with a particular item. So it should be a float, of course. And then actually let's make enum here. Enum, it is going to be an interact mode, so I'll call it interact mode. So we'll have two options in this particular case, which is going to be overlap or overlap and key hold underscore by case. So yeah, that's the default one, and I have added this overlap which is going to be specific for the pickups. So yeah, now we have that. So let's add this interact mode to this pickup data as well. Interact mode, interact mode. And now for overlap cases, we should be able to select like which shape are we going to use, where the shape should be placed, and if the and some debug features as well, like if the shape should be hidden in the editor, or stuff like that. So for that, I'll create another structure here, and let's call this f structure f pickup, then maybe overlap shape data. That's going to be able to do the overlap shape that we are selecting. So I'll add that variable here as well. Pick, let's call it overlap shape data, and it should be f pickup overlap shape data. Now in there we need to add a few variables. So first, we should be able to select a shape from here, like maybe a box, a sphere, a capsule. So let's create another enum for that. Enum, e shape. Actually, I'll call it e overlap shape. That makes more sense. E overlap shape, and this should have, let's say, a box, then maybe a sphere, capsule, and let's add a none case. This variable will be set to none when we are using the key hold but trace interaction mode. So yeah, now I can add this E overlap shape into this F pickup overlap shape data, and I can call this one shape. And then let's say we might want to attach the shape to a specific socket if we are using a skeletal mesh. So let's call this one joint socket name. Socket name. This should be a name, of course. Then we should be able to add an offset or something, so we can do a relative transform for a specific component. So I'll do component relative transform. Now we have that, and this should be a transform. And at last, I'll just make a variable, a boolean variable called bdebug. Based on this variable, I'll enable or disable some particular debug features. This actually doesn't matter, but yeah, it's good to have stuff like this. Okay, so now we have that. Now actually let's create an interface which is going to be for pickups. We can go into underscore main blueprints interfaces. Let's create another blueprint interface. I'll call this I underscore pickup. Then okay, so every class which is going to implement this interface should have a pickup data variable. So we can just create a function here. Let's say get pickup data, and we can add an output which should be an pickup data. Actually, let's add one more which is going to check if it's valid or not, and it will be a boolean, so it will be false if we couldn't find any variable. So yeah, we can check based on that as well. Okay, so now we have that. Now let's create a pickup base class. I know I said that we won't be using inheritance, but it depends. We can still use inheritance for some items, and for some we might not want to use it. But for now, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to create a base class. So let's go back to blueprints. Let's create pickups folder here actually. Pickups. And now let's create an actor class, bp underscore pickups. Okay. Now in the class settings, this should be implementing the interact interface, interactable, and the pickup interface as well. Okay. And as I said that we might be switching between a static mesh and a skeletal mesh. So let's add those components. I'll add a static mesh component first. Then I'll add a skeletal mesh component, and then to the static mesh I'll so yeah, actually for the default overlap shape, I'm not sure if we should add a default one, but yeah, let's go ahead and add one. So I'll add a sphere collision. Actually no, it's not added just yet. So let's go back to well, actually for that, let's go back to content underscore main data. Let's create a data table here. Data table from f pickup data. It should be dd underscore pickups. So now I should be able to add stuff here. So let's call this one health ball. Heals health. And for the static mesh, I'll just use this target base mesh. And if I take this thing, it's going to use this one. But of course, we haven't added the functionality yet, so it doesn't matter. The interact time, I'll set this to 2 for now. The interaction mode will, by default, it will be keyhole by trace. And actually, to make it default for all the items, I can just go ahead and do this as well. I can move this up, so the keyhole byte trace will be the default value for all the items that I add. So if I click the plus button, maybe it wasn't compiled or something. Yeah, I think I'll have to reopen the editor, I believe. Yeah, but let's leave that. Okay, so now for the overlap shape data, actually let's keep this keyhole by trace for now. So if this is set to keyhole by trace, this stuff doesn't matter, so we can ignore this for now. So let's create another item. This will be a stamina ball. Stamina ball. This ball heals stamina. For this static mesh, I'll use this quarter cylinder, and it will be again this mesh. But this time I'll check this BU skeletal mesh, and for the interact mode I'll use overlap, and the shape will be, let's say, capsule. Join socket name with I think something's wrong here. It is a name variable. Yes, I don't know why, but I had that weird name here. But yeah, I've set this to none for now. And the scale, the translocation, rotation, the PD bug, I'll set this to true, of course. Yep. So now we have that. Let's go back to our pickup class. Let me just rename this first. It should be called BP pickup underscore base instead of BP pickups. So yeah, now we have that. Now let's add a variable here, which is going to be item ID, and the data type will be data table true handle. And for the default value, I'll just set it to health ball and DT pickups data table. So yeah, now let's implement some interface functions. Let's implement this get pickup data first. So now what we can do is I can split this, and I can get row from the data table with this row name. I can connect this execution pin. Now if the row is found, of course I'll return true and the b weighted node, and the outro will be the result, which is going to my f pickup data. If the row is not found, I will return false in the b weighted node. So I know that there was something wrong here in this function. Maybe this item ID wasn't set or something. So yeah, now we have that. Now let's implement some other stuff. So in the get interact time, I can call get pickup data. And now I won't be checking the b valid node here, because if it's invalid, I'm returning a default value for the interact time, which is of course going to be 0, so that doesn't matter. So I'll just pass that in. I'll hide unconnected pins. There we go. That should do it. Okay, then we have unhover. I don't think these matter for now, but for the interact one, I'll just do a print string statement here, and I'll just say pick up, and I'll destroy the item. That is it. And okay, now if you remember that we added a new trace channel, so we have to make sure that these items are blocking the interaction trace channel if we want to interact with them. So but we should be doing them on runtime. So let's get the event begin play. Let me just call the parent version first. Okay, so no, actually let's create a custom event, and let's call this update pickup properties. And this function I will compare based on the interact mode, but let's cache those variables first. So what I'll do is I'll create another a variable called interact mode. Mode. That is. Now I'll make this a private variable. and then I think I should be doing the same for the overlap shape data as well. So let's do pick up overlap shape data as well. It's going to private as well. This should be f pick up overlap shape data. Now I'll cache these variables, uh, and I'm gonna do that in the construction script. So let's go construction script. I'll call this get pickup data function again. Now this time I'll check if this is valid. So I can define some, maybe default value or something. So yeah, if this is true, then I'll set the interaction mode to create this. I'll connect this here, and I'll do the same for pickup overlap shape data. So now we have that as well. I can set the default value here as well. So yeah, you can do that. For now, I'll leave it as it is. Okay. And now actually after this is done, I can also call the a parent version of construction script, because I'm gonna add some more logic to it. But yeah, it's good to have these nodes properly placed, because these I'm driving this class from the actor class, so in this case it really doesn't matter. But let's say I'm using I create a child class of this BB pickup base, and I'm using the construction script in there. Then it's good to have this nodes placed properly, otherwise it might cause issues. So yeah, now we have these variables cached, so we can use them into the event graph. So now if the interaction mode, actually let's switch on that. Okay, uh, okay, so we are switching, we are updating. Okay, so in the overlap, okay, so actually we need to keep track of what collision shape we are using. For example, I was talking about adding a sphere shape, and I didn't add that because we might be changing the collision shapes via construction script. So let's create a variable for that. I'll call this, let's say, uh, overlap collision component, and the type will be a primitive component. Actually, I think I can do a shape component as well. Yep, I can do a shape component. Okay, now if I'll set this here, if the interact mode is key hold by trace, I can just actually no. I think I should be destroying it here. Actually, I'll do is I'll get this first. Then if this is valid, then I'll destroy it. Yep. So okay, that should be it. And for the overlap, no, I don't need these set. I'm not setting this here. Okay. So yeah, now we should be setting the collision responses channel for these items. So let's get those. Set collision response to channel. The channel will be interaction. If the interaction mode is key hold by trace, then it should be block. Otherwise, it should be ignore. It should be for both the items, for both the meshes actually. So let's connect these like this. Okay. So it doesn't matter if this is not valid. I should still be connecting here. So now if this is overlap, then if this is valid, then I can go ahead. Actually, it really doesn't matter here. Okay, if this is not valid, this shape is not valid, then we should be having some way to interact with the item. So I'm not gonna disable the interaction. I'm not gonna set the interaction channel to ignore if this shape isn't valid. So we should be having some way to interact with the item at least. Okay, so now we have that. Let's call this function on the begin play event. Okay, now we have that. Actually, we'll be calling this in the construction script as well, because we are destroying the component, and I should be able to see a visual representation if a collision shape is being destroyed. So for now, I'll just keep this into construction script as well. Okay. Now, on the begin play event, okay, let's do one thing. Let me just move them up and paste in the interact mode. So if this is equal to the overlap interact mode, okay, so if this is not equal actually, then I can just go ahead and update this variable. I'll set this wait sorry, it's no, it's sorry, make then shape will be none. Yes, that should be it. Actually, I think for this shape as well, I should be moving the none at the top. Yep. Yeah. So now we should be having some sort of logic, so we can update the mesh in the construction script and at the begin play event as well, because we sometimes construction script doesn't run if we don't move the actor and reopen the project. So yeah, so let's create a custom event, update pick up overlap shape, that I think. Yeah, so in this function or event, let's check if this component is already valid. If yes, I'll destroy it. So I'll be generating a new one. So let's also set this to null, like this as well. Okay, now let's get this variable break. Now I'll switch on this enum, which is called shape. Okay. Okay, if it's none, then I'm not gonna do anything, because the overlap collision component is already destroyed. Yep. And if it's destroyed, this it means it's not valid, and when this event is gonna be triggered, it's not gonna call this function. So we should be able to interact it with by keyhole trace. So yeah. Okay. Now let's do add box collision, and the component relative transform should be this. Then add sphere collision, add capsule collision, and of course I'll set the relative transform for all of this. Okay, now we need to connect this to the joint socket name. If we need to use this, if this is skeletal mesh, and yeah, we need to update this variable as well. So I don't want to duplicate that code here, so I'll create another event for that. I'll call that, let's say, connect overlap shape. So this should be taking in the shape that is generated, and the common class or the common parent class for this box collision, sphere collision, and capsule collision is the shape collision, which is also this the type of this overlap collision component variable. So I'll put that as a reference, as an input. Call this shape collision, um, shape component, object reference. I'll call this function here. Okay, connect this. Okay. Now, uh, first of all, we should be connecting the shape to the joint socket name only if it's a skeletal mesh. So I'll call the get pickup data function, and I'll get this. I'll break this, and again I'm not placing a if check here or a branch and checking the be valid, because this is a boolean variable and the default value is set to false. So if it doesn't return anything useful, or it's not valid, I'm going to get false here. So I will just won't connect the collision to the skeletal mesh. So yeah, that's acceptable. So now let's get an attach component to component. Okay, the parent should be okay. Actually, I think I should be able to attach the shape on a static mesh as well with the socket. So yeah, let's do that. So I'll select the parent based on this boolean, and if it's true, then I'll use skeletal mesh. Otherwise, I'll just use the mesh static mesh. Uh, okay, that should be it. Now let's connect this. Okay, now of course the socket name will be from the pickup overlap shape data. The socket name. Okay, I'll just hide the unconnected pins. Place this there. Okay, there's one more thing that I need to do actually. So that is, I need to select the attachment rule as well based on this joint socket name. So if this is none or an empty, then if it's empty, then I should use a keep world attachment rule. Otherwise, I'll need snap to target. So if it's the socket name is valid, and it should then it should just snap to the socket location and rotation and scale as well. So I'm just gonna connect this here. If there's an issue here. Okay, so I haven't connected the target yet. So yeah, and the target should be this shape collision. Let's just place some reroutes. Okay, that should do it. Yep. Now let's see what else do we have. Okay, so the next thing is binding, or I should say assigning the on begin overlap event. So let's place a reroute here. Move this one here. So here I can just actually let's set this variable first. I should be doing this before all of this part. Yeah, that's fine. So now we have variable set, and now I can drag the pin from this, and I can say assign on begin overlap with this event, and let's connect the execution pin. Then let's create a wrapper this event actually. So I'll come up, actually let me just do it here. So I'll create a custom event and I'll call this on begin overlap wrapper, and the inputs should be a primitive component, which is going to be of course called an overlap component, primitive component, then an actor class, actor reference, it should be called other actor, then other from the component, and the type is primitive component again, and then other body index, which is an integer, and then a boolean, which will be called b from sweep. Then at last it will be a hit result, which hit result, let's call this sweep result. Okay, so I'll call this function here on begin overlap wrapper. Okay, let's connect these pins. It's not named perfectly. Let's refresh. Yep. Okay, now I'll just place this on the left side. Okay, I think that should be it. Okay, now actually let's use this debug value that I added in the structure. So based on that we will set a variable which is going to be set hidden in game. So if the b debug is set to true, which I'll be using not boolean. So if this is true, it will turn to false, and the hidden will be false, which means it will be hiding, and yeah, the vice versa. So now we have that. Let's see what else do we have. Actually, maybe let's check the shapes now. So let me just place this function. Let's call this function. So I should be calling it in the construction script and the begin play event as well. So I'll just do update, pick up overlay shape, and I'm using the true and the false case of both of them because I'm also destroying this component here, so I need that functionality as well. But I also have this here, so I think I should be removing it. So actually I think I can just connect this directly here, and this function can handle the destruction. Yep, I think that should be it. And before calling this function, I'm also setting this to none if the shape is not overlap. So yeah, it should be doing nothing other than destroying the component. So I can just remove these nodes from here. Okay, so now we have this function. I'll call this in the construction script as well. So yeah, let's test it now. I'll drag a pick up base, and of course the mesh won't be updating now because we don't have any logic for that just yet. Let's just try. Wait, I haven't exposed them. The item ID. Yes, that's all I need to expose. Okay, let me just check if the stamina ball is set to overlap. Yes, this one is set to overlap. Sphere, none. Okay, but of course it's not generating any. Let's see why. Actually, that's just the begin play event, maybe. Okay, I don't think there's nothing here. So let's go back to pick up base, construction script. So maybe let's place debug point on these. Then no. Oh, sorry. So it's what using this should be here actually. Oh, let me just check, make sure if this is valid. Yes. Okay, so it does call this function. Oh wait, sorry. So if this is not valid, then we should be calling, you know, this functionality as well. Yeah, my bad. Let's remove the debug points because it should be already working now. Let's make sure this is jam in a ball. Wait, it's still not working. Let's debug points back. Yeah, okay, this time we hit the debug point and it's going to sphere because we have selected a sphere collision here. And let's see what happens in this function. So let me place the debug points on all of them. Yeah, so okay, so it gets to pick up data. It attaches component to component. The target, of course, is the sphere component, sphere shape component. The skeletal mesh is we use skeletal mesh is set to true. Okay, just gonna use that mesh. It's gonna select skeletal mesh, and this object is none. So it's just be attaching it to the root, but we doesn't have any mesh, so yeah, it should be on the actual location itself. This will be keep snap to target. Then we are updating the overlap collision component. Okay. Then we are assigning this event. Okay. Let's just remove them. Wait, I think I made a dumb mistake. So if this is bdebug is true. Oh wait, sorry, I should be connecting it directly. My bad. It shouldn't be reverse, my bad. That was sorry, a bit dumb, but yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now if I go to the DT pickups, and I can change the, let's say I can select box this time, and once the construction script runs, this changes to a box. So yeah, now let's go back to pickup base, and into this event what I'll do is let's add a event, let's add a tag that we need to check. So tag to overlap, there should be name, I'll make this exposed. So if the overlapped actor has this tag, actor has tag to overlap, and actually let me just set a default value which is going to be, let's say, player. I'll also add this to my first person looking first person character tag. Actually you can place any logic here that you might want to add. You can add gameplay tags as well if you want, but for now I'm just going to use this normal tags player. So now if this is the case, then we can just go ahead and call the interact function from the self reference. Yep, and it's the one from the interactable interface, so that's right. So let's see if this works. And for the interact functionality, I think I haven't defined anything yet. Wait, I have. So it should be now. If I overlap with that volume, it should be printing that pickup string message, and it should destroy the actor. But I don't have anything. Actually, let me just set a mesh for now, and let's try to increase the scale of the box so I can actually collide with it. Yeah, that works. So now with this example, you know that the transform relative transform is also working. So let me just try to collide with this box. Yep, now we get the pickup string message on the left side of the screen, and the item is destroyed, so we know that the interaction is working. And what if actually let's make this health ball, and the health ball doesn't use the overlap method. So once I you know hit play, this collision volume should be destroyed, but I think it should be destroyed in the construction script before the begin play. So yeah, we'll do that as well. But yeah, let's just try if this is working with the trace as well. Yeah, I think it is. Yep, it works. So yeah, that's nice. Now let's make sure that this collision volume is destroyed in the construction script. If this is keyhole by trace. So let's see what happens right now. Did pick up properties, separate pick up volumes. If this is not valid, it says true. If this is valid, then it destroys itself. It should be none. Okay, it was because this wasn't set to none on the in the case of the health ball, but so I think we should be doing this part on the construction script as well. This setting. So I'll create a custom event. Um, Update pickup overlap shape underscore on. I'll just add the CS at the end, so I know it's for the construction script. I can just connect this here, so it will be adding this code along with this function call. So now in the construction script, I can just call update pickup overlap shape CS. I can remove this one, and that should do it. So yep, so it's a health ball now, and I don't see any shape. So let's just try to move it, change it to stamina ball. I get the shape. If I change it back to health ball, the shape disappears. That means it is destroyed. So yep, that works. And wait, that yeah, and if it was the shape on the health ball selected is still the box and it still worked. That means yep, that is perfect. Now let's add functionality. So the mesh can be updated from logic and construction script. So let's add an custom event here called update pickup mesh. So in this function, I should get the pickup data. Now again, I'll check if this is valid or not, because there's no point of setting the mesh, because if the references are null. So if this is true, then I'll break this. Then I'll okay. So actually, I need a branch here for the skeletal mesh boolean. So if it is true, we should be using a skeletal mesh. Then for the static mesh, I'll set the static mesh to null pointer. but I'll set the reference for the skeletal mesh. Set skeletal mesh asset, and I can get the skeletal mesh asset from here, and I'll do the same thing, but this time I'll be setting the static mesh, but not the skeletal mesh. So yeah, that's all I need here. So I can call this update pickup mesh function on the begin play. Actually, let me just do one thing, because I have this custom event which is being called from construction script. I don't want all my functions to be called by this event. So what I'll do is I'll move them on the here. I'll add a sequence. I'll just do this. Okay, I can add the other logic here. I am going to call this function on the construction script as well, but it was just to avoid any other functionality that doesn't need to be in there. So now I can do this. Actually, let me just call this first. And I think it should be the same here as well. Okay, that should do it. Now let's see if the mesh gets updated. And yes, it does, because this one is a health ball. So let's try a stamina ball. Yep, the mesh does get updated. So now actually let's try one thing. Let's try connecting the shape to the head of this character, which is a skeletal mesh. So I'll go to the stamina ball. I'll set the joint socket name to head, which is a bone of the rig, and I'll decrease the size so we can see better. Okay. Wait. Actually, let me change that to a sphere as well. So let's run this, and yep, it works. And if I don't want to connect this to a bone or something or socket, I can move it with this transform. Let's add 100 offset. Let's see how that looks. Yep, we have an offset as well. So yeah, that works as well. Okay, let me just add that back. Okay, so let's see what else do we need to do. I think that's pretty much it. Actually, that's one thing. Yeah. So let's go to this get interact time function. Oh wait, sorry, I already connected this. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all with this pickup system. Later, of course, I'm going to add inventory system so we can, do all of that stuff and keep track of the pickups taken. But for now, we can have specific functionality for the pickups. So what I'm gonna do is let's make a small example. I'll just add a level sequence in the main folder. I'll create new folder sequences test sequence. Okay, so maybe let's add a scene camera actor. Let's add it on the timeline. I'm just doing random stuff now, I know, but yeah, let's just connect this. So I'll add the key to the transform on here, then on here, let's move the camera and add a key. That is just a small random cutscene. Let's disable this. I'll unpilot the camera. Okay, so So let me just create a child class. This is a test pickup. On this one I'll add the specific functionality. So in the interfaces I'll do interact. I'll call the paid version because that is the one destroying it. And I'll drag one sequence in the level. In sequences, test sequences. Then on this pickup I'll have variable sequence reference level sequence active object reference. I'll expose, make this instance editable, and I'll just play this. I think that's all. Then I can just call the parent version and destroy this pickup. Okay, so now let's drag one of these pickups, main blueprints pickups, test pickup. Where did it? Oh, sorry. I didn't choose the sequence. Yep, it works. So yeah, it was just to show you that the interact function is being called. So let's also try the overlap shape. So let me just change the item ID to stamina ball, and the shape is right there on the feet. So you can go and yeah, you can, as soon as you move into the shape, it works. And let's increase the interact time here. Let's make this 372 seconds, and you can see it's going to take a lot of time to fill up that progress bar, of course. But yeah, does make sense. But yeah, the system works. Let me just let's just take a look and see that if something is remaining. So yeah, but I think pretty much everything is done. So I don't think so. We need to. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, I think we have got everything that we need. If there are any suggestions or if you think there's something left, please let me know in the comments. And of course, if you think there should be, we should be, changing some stuff, please let me know. And what do you think? Please let me know. What do you think we should be creating on top of this pickup system and the interaction system that we have made so far? I was thinking of a spatial inventory system. That's pretty cool, but of course that's gonna take some time. But apart from that, if you guys have any other suggestions, please let me know in the comments. And thank you. Then I'll see you soon in the next video.